There's a trail of ants marching across your kitchen counter right now, and the thing that stops them cold is probably sitting in your spice cabinet. 2 tablespoons. That's it. But here's the part nobody tells you. Most people who try this get zero results, and the reason why is actually fascinating once you understand what's happening inside an ant colony. This video is about using cinnamon to keep ants out of your house permanently, or at least as close to permanently as a spice can get. You've probably heard the advice before. Sprinkle some cinnamon, ants go away. And you've probably also tried it and watched the ants just walk right through it 2 days later. That's not because the idea is wrong. It's because almost every version of this advice skips the science, and the science is what makes it actually work. I've gone deep on this, the research, the chemistry, the biology, and by the end of this video, you'll understand ants better than most people who've been fighting them for years. We're going to cover why cinnamon works at a biological level, why the type you're using almost certainly isn't the right one, the exact mixing method that makes it last 3 days instead of 4 hours, and the one upgrade at the end that almost nobody has talked about. Stay with me for that last one, because it changes the whole formula. Let's start with the thing that surprised me most. If you've ever sprayed a line of ants with a commercial insecticide, you've probably noticed something weird. You spray them, and then an hour later there seem to be even more ants than before. That's not your imagination. Essential oils cause disorganization and shedding of the antennae morphology and receptors in fire ants. But the bigger problem with chemical sprays is what happens the moment an ant starts dying. When ants are killed by insecticide, they release alarm pheromones, a distress signal that tells the rest of the colony there's a threat. That signal doesn't scatter the colony. It recruits them. It pulls in defensive soldiers and triggers intensified foraging. So you're not solving the problem, you're announcing it. Cinnamon doesn't do that. It works silently, and the reason it works is one of the more interesting things I've learned about insect biology. The robust aroma of cinnamon and its natural compounds serve a dual purpose. They deter ants and disturb their pheromone trails, complicating their communication and food sourcing. But that description barely scratches the surface of what's actually happening. Ants navigate, communicate, and locate food almost entirely through chemical signals, pheromone trails detected by highly sensitive receptors on their antenna. The dominant compound in cinnamon, cinnamaldehyde, acts as a potent olfactory irritant. When ants encounter it, their antennae recoil, trail-following behavior halts, and colony coordination falls apart. Trans-cinnamaldehyde is the main component responsible for behavior disorder in fire ants. It increases dopamine content and decreases octopamine content, which essentially scrambles the neurochemistry behind their coordination. The colony doesn't die. It goes deaf. It loses its internet connection. And that's a distinction that explains everything about why and how you apply it. Because here's the thing. If you're trying to kill ants, you're playing the wrong game. The ants you see on your counter are not the colony. Ant invasion causes damage exceeding $5 billion annually in North America. And the colonies generating that kind of pressure are massive. Forager ants, the ones marching across your kitchen, make up only about 10% of an entire colony. So if you see 20 ants on your counter, the colony behind them likely has 200 or more workers, plus a queen, larvae, and eggs you'll never see. Every barrier trick you've ever tried is only dealing with the scout layer. The goal isn't to kill the visible ants. The goal is to collapse the information network that keeps sending them. That reframes everything. And it gets more interesting. A homeowner in Austin, Texas, reported persistent trails of Argentine ants streaming from her kitchen sink into the dining room. She'd used ground cinnamon for 6 weeks, reapplying daily. Ant activity decreased slightly for the first 3 days each week, then rebounded strongly. By week 5, ants were nesting behind the refrigerator and emerging from electrical outlets. A licensed pest technician found a satellite nest inside the wall cavity adjacent to the water heater. That's because a single parent colony can support up to 20 satellite colonies, often hidden in wall voids and attic insulation, resupplying scouts on a schedule. The cinnamon barrier catches the commuters. It doesn't touch the city, so if ants keep coming back to the same spot no matter what you do, there's a very good chance there's a satellite nest inside your walls that you've never seen and can't reach. What the cinnamon barrier does, when used correctly, is cut the communication line between that nest and your food supply, and that's actually enough to stop the visible problem. Now here's where most people go wrong, and this is the part that genuinely shocked me. A 2021 study found that cinnamon cassia essential oil is roughly 90% cinnamaldehyde by weight, while ground cinnamon zelanicum, Ceylon cinnamon, only contains about 0.75% to 3% cinnamaldehyde. That matters enormously. Ceylon cinnamon is sold as true cinnamon. It's the premium product, the one health food stores push, the one that costs more. But for ant control, it's the weak version. The cheap, dark, pungent cinnamon, the cassia kind, the common kind, is the one that actually has enough cinnamaldehyde to do anything. The expensive premium product is the weaker one. Nobody talks about this, and it explains why so many people try cinnamon and think it doesn't work. They're using the wrong type. But even if you have the right type, the form still matters. And this is where the gap between I tried this and it worked, and I tried this and nothing happened, becomes massive. Cinnamon essential oil is more effective than ground cinnamon powder, though neither provides lasting protection on its own. Ground cinnamon powder causes only temporary avoidance. Ants resume crossing treated zones within a few hours. In Petri dish experiments, concentrations of 5 to 10% cinnamaldehyde oil applied directly to ant trails caused temporary disorientation and trail breaking. The gap between sprinkling powder and using the oil isn't marginal. It's the difference between 4 hours of deterrence and potentially 3 days. The powder is mostly theater. The oil is the actual tool. So you go get cinnamon essential oil, specifically cassia, not Ceylon, and then almost every tutorial online tells you to mix a few drops in water and spray it, and that instruction is actively making it less effective. To apply cinnamon oil so it actually disrupts ant chemoreception, you need to mix it with high percentage ethanol, 90% or above. Water, vinegar, vegetable oil. Those carriers reduce the volatility of cinnamaldehyde and cut its efficacy significantly. The cinnamaldehyde needs a fast evaporating carrier to stay airborne long enough to jam the antenna receptors. Ethanol evaporates fast, releases the compound into the air at the point of application, and keeps the barrier active far longer than any water-based mix. This is why the 2-tablespoon approach actually works when you do it right. You're not just putting a smell on the floor, you're creating a volatile chemical field that disrupts the ant's ability to read the trail at all. Here's the practical breakdown. Get a small spray bottle. Add about 2 tablespoons of cassia cinnamon essential oil. Fill the rest with 90% or higher isopropyl alcohol, the kind you can find at any pharmacy. Shake it and spray it along baseboards, windowsills, door thresholds, and any crack or gap where you've seen ant activity. You don't need a lot. A fine mist along the entry points is enough. Let it dry fully before anyone walks through it. Now, I promised you a mega loop at the start of this video. The one upgrade almost no one has covered. We're almost there. But first, there's something you need to know about timing. Because even if you do everything right, the ants will eventually adapt. A 2023 University of Florida study observed that after just 72 hours of repeated exposure to cinnamon oil vapor, Argentine ant colonies resumed normal foraging within 90 minutes of re-exposure, indicating rapid olfactory habituation. This is the exact reason people think cinnamon stopped working after a few days. Argentine ants do exhibit reduced responses to their own alarm pheromone, temporarily ceasing their response to it after 4 or 5 exposures. The same habituation mechanism applies to repellent compounds. The colony doesn't break through the barrier, it learns to ignore it. So the fix isn't to spray more. The fix is to rotate. Apply your barrier, let it run for 48 to 60 hours, then let it go stale for a day, and reapply fresh in a slightly shifted position. Moving the application spot even a few inches resets the ant's learned map of that area. Stale barrier in the same place every day is an invitation for adaptation. Fresh barrier in a rotating pattern is a moving target the colony can't calibrate to. And now, the upgrade. Research published in the Journal of Emerging Investigators found that cinnamon oil and lemon juice are synergistic in their ant repellent properties, with the lipid-soluble component of cinnamon and the lipid-insoluble component of lemon being the most efficacious forms. These data suggest that compounds found in non-toxic household products, such as cinnamon oil and lemon juice, could be used in low-dose combinations as potent, effective, eco-friendly, and safe ant repellents. The reason this combination hits harder isn't just that you're adding two repellents together. They attack two completely separate systems at once. Cinnamaldehyde jams the antenna. It disrupts the olfactory receptors the ant uses to read pheromone trails. Lemon's limonene disrupts the ant's waxy outer cuticle, the physical layer that protects the insect's body. One hits the nervous system, one hits the body. The combination isn't additive. It's synergistic, meaning the result is greater than the sum of the parts. So the upgraded version of the spray: 2 tablespoons of Cassia cinnamon essential oil, a squeeze of fresh lemon juice, about a tablespoon, and the rest 90% ethanol. That's the full formula. That's what actually works. One last thing before you go spray every surface in your house. Research published in entomology journals has demonstrated that cinnamaldehyde has repellent effects on certain ant species in controlled settings, with high concentrations of cinnamon essential oil deterring ants from crossing treated surfaces. But those same concentrations that work indoors on a windowsill can harm non-target insects outdoors. Cinnamaldehyde is toxic to many non-target arthropods at higher concentrations. If you spray this near a garden, near flowering plants, near anywhere bees or beneficial insects might land, you're not applying a natural safe product. You're applying a compound that can harm pollinators. Indoor pinpoint application along entry points is exactly what this is designed for. Keep it inside, keep it targeted, and it's both effective and safe. The ants you see are not the problem. The network behind them is, and now you know exactly how to cut it.